Morning everyone, welcome to my Instagram live. I'm so excited to see all of you live here with me on another Insta live. I'm Arya Nair, a life coach and career coach, certified in coaching and founder of DYC, and I am here to bring in amazing conversations and Insta lives where we can make difference, help you with more understanding about broad spectrum of area. And just like that, today we are going to have an amazing conversation and collaboration with Abhijit Jagtap. He is a therapeutic coach, a mental fitness trainer who blends NLP, psychology, and lived experience to help people identify transition and inner turbulence with clarity. He has over 1.5 decade of experience across HR, leadership development, behavioral training, and so on. I'm so excited to have a conversation with a person with such amazing experience because he helps people simplify complex emotional patterns and make a practical framework that people can apply immediately. Okay, so his focus is predominantly on preventive mental well-being, emotional mastery, building life skills, and help people grow and come back with resilience and so that they do not hit life challenges like most of us face in our lives. Having a more framework is such an important aspect here, right? So Abhijit hosts a lot of conversations like me. He has podcasts of his own. I do follow his podcast, by the way. He conducts a lot of workshops, and he thrives to invite people explore their inner architecture. He believes narratives and the patterns that he has, it's help individuals to live and lead in the right direction. So he's so committed to train professionals and entrepreneurs to rebuild resilience, align with their true identity, and create the authentic version of ourselves. And today we are going to have an amazing conversation on one of the topic which is not spoken much about, that is navigating life transitions and emotional roller coaster that entrepreneurs generally go through. I have done a lot of conversations on different topics, but this is something that hit so close to my heart that we both decided let's have a topic of discussion over here. And without any further ado, let me invite Abhijit to this Insta live and we can take it from there. Please allow me a moment. Good evening.
Good evening. I hope I'm audible and visible as well.
Very clear and
Oh, great.
yes. So thank you for joining, Abhijit, first of all. And really excited to have this conversation with you because life transitions and emotional roller coaster is something that each and every individual goes through. And we'll be also touching upon entrepreneurship. And really looking forward for this. Thank you for joining this Insta Live.
Hey, thank you, Arya, so much for getting me on this particular talk. I think this was something that was brewing, and we had an extensive discussion over this. And the opportunity has led us to this particular discussion, which can be more public, and definitely for people who are looking for some kind of clarity and demystification about what are the dips that an entrepreneur or anybody who's going to start alone would face. So I'm really happy and glad that I'm sharing my 2 cents with your audience and definitely with mine as well.
Wonderful. So, Abhijit, before we get started into like transition and entrepreneurship and so on, I would really like for us to know about your journey.
All
What
right.
led to you reach this stage and to have this intention of joy seeking and helping people
All right.
identify their ideas. So, let's start with that and then we can get into it deeper about the conversation.
Surely. I have really practiced a lot of giving answers to these particular questions whenever the question would arise and to be asked to me. But still, I am, as my, adjective says, joy seeker. I'm still seeking it. But with the kind of clarity that I have been able to mass in past 4 to 5 attempts that were there into my entrepreneurial journey. I wouldn't say an entrepreneurial journey, but I think a desperation of getting into a field where I have a bit of a more control than anybody else dictating that. So for me, this particular journey started like I would say I have an entire experience of 15 years into HR domain. So while doing that, there were a lot many obstacles that I came across, which was limiting my passion to help people. And those obstacles were not physical; those were more mental, in a sense that I was not able to fathom the clarity about how to go ahead and counsel these people, how to go ahead and talk to these people that no, 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 job is the ultimate salvation for anybody who's looking for earning for living. And that really stirred lot many depth or questions that were in deep conscience that were like subside into it. And I felt nee, I have to really discover what it takes to go deep inside me. And then the journey started. And I think the 4 attempt that I've talked about was very unbaked attempt which were like not thought through. It was more impulsive, out of fear, out of ego. And the fourth one, I would say it is more stabilized because now I rely on structures. I rely more on structures in terms of how I'm supposed to think about, if because I think life in totality is uncertain. But when you become an entrepreneur, it's a roller coaster ride without a safety harness. So that's how I see it. And for me, the journey, as you told me, like how it started. So every person operate from 3 Ds. Okay, desire, dream, and disgust. So I think my disgust was the most propelling factor in my life. So I think the dream desire was not there, but I think the disgust was so much. It was so amassed for so many years of working, and I was not able to make that particular influence and a value add to the people who I'm getting connected to. And I thought I have to create the value for me first by applying what I have learned. So that was the first thing. And as lot many I think entrepreneur want to be entrepreneur who are in my age group, who want to get into this arena, and they can really associate with this particular problem, is that once you hit the 40 mark of your age, corporate don't treat you humbly. They have a very different way of treating you. So I think that pushed me into a realm of thinking that I supposed to have a lifeboat before the Titanic sinks. So this is where I started preparing my lifeboat. I got it myself equipped with certification into NLP, certification into EFT, got my 1 year degree into counseling and mental wellness. Then I have done recently my Kigai course, which is from ICFA. So there is a lot of adding up to understand that how things would unfold and how I can be more equipped to counsel and coach people in that particular limelight. So this is how it started. I think the disgust was the element that really pushed me.
Think like identifying yourself, right? How rightly you could actually identify where you were out of those 3 Ds.
Hmm.
You also knew that you wanted to help people, but you needed structure. So the
True.
moment you understood what is the gap, you could, till then, there was lack of self-awareness. You just knew
Hmm.
what
Hmm.
you wanted to create an impact. But then how, what are the gaps? And when that self-awareness came into picture, it helps any individual in any industry to grow in the right direction, right? And
True.
everything
True.
just comes up in your plate in that moment. So, having said that, you did mention about identity dip
Hmm.
before, just before your short introduction. So, I
Hmm.
want to know that many entrepreneurs, professionals in any phase of transition, right? So, one transition is the 40 mark that you reach, and then you are a senior but not very senior, and you really are struggling with the change in cultural dynamics, new people coming in. Now we have Gen Zs as well. So then later on it'll be Gen Alpha, like that change is
True.
coming in, and then slowly you are like, am I enough? Who am I? What is my worth? Then AI is into picture. Then
Right, right,
identity dip, like you rightly
right,
mentioned.
right.
So where they are like, old personality just doesn't fit in.
Mm-hmm,
When
mm-hmm,
new
mm-hmm,
one is uncertain, it's not stable yet, right?
mm-hmm,
So
mm-hmm,
from an NLP practitioner's perspective, how can
mm-hmm.
one navigate this identity, like the void without losing their motivation?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Uh, I think this is a really, the first tip of the iceberg that we actually see, but very few realize it. That we are able to see it, but we see it in terms of as a fear, then an introspection. So that is where the mindset actually shifts. Okay, so you rightly said in NLP we call it as a void state. Okay, if I want to give you a kind of a analogy which can wrap around this particular example of how it has been felt, that let's say you are just shifting or moving to a different house. Okay, you're from going from this particular location to another location. So when you look at your getting your material packed, okay, getting those boxes filled into the truck, loading that into the truck, then lifting that down into the new apartment, that is your new identity. Okay,
Yeah.
so but the thing is that is a new identity, but it is not yet acquired. It is yet to be acquired. So there are a lot of things that has to be unboxed, a lot of things that you have to will these items that I'm carrying from my old house, will they fit into the new house? So we do that lot of what I can say, bridging between the identity, what we do. So, first of all, you don't have to be like, I see a lot of this particular transition has to be done by compassion rather than just having an anxiety attack or more of a panic, because a lot many people do goes into that particular part. Because I think when you are entrepreneur, even not even entrepreneur, even if you're working with your organization right now, and in the age of AI, in which lot many people are churning right now, I can see that you have to reinvent yourself every 10 years. And
Right.
if I say reinvent, it doesn't mean that you have to upgrade. There is a difference between upgrade and reinvent.
Hmm.
People see, and reinvention as an upgrade. Upgrade is in the same linear position that you do. I can be an HR, I can be an HR AI, or I
Hmm.
can be someone who can do that. Yeah, that is a good transition. But if I say transition, that is a challenge, I would say. Okay, there is a difference between two words, challenge and transition. And as you said rightly, when you are becoming an entrepreneur from from your 9 to 5 job, and when it is 24/7, so there is a bigger. It is not a challenge. It is a transition.
Right.
And when you're doing a transition, and as I give you the example analogy of shifting from old house to a new house, and you have all this particular, bundles of emotions, memories, identity, structures that
Hmm.
you carry from your old house, and then you see this new house with a different layout, you have to really, take that transition, not a challenge. Because
Right.
when you take that as a transition, but with a compassion, how you can do that, or how do I do that, means how I have done for myself, is you get into a void such state because everything is changing, everything is in chaos. Okay, so what we call it as a structure. If I want to give a structure to this, I call it as an identity ladder. Okay, so how you can do that? The first step is honor your old identity. That's the main thing. So ask yourself, like, what did the older version of me protect? What it was protecting? Okay, it might be protecting that I am an HR manager, I have a very secure job. That is what it's protecting, or it is protecting the entire sense of stability. All
Right.
right, but that stability at what cost? That is one thing that you have to make sure. And now that you have took the decision,
Hmm.
now you have to honor that decision as well.
Right.
Because if you are not honoring that, you are going to lose on self confidence. So if the Latin word, if you divide that, self confident, confident means trust. And if you are not putting trust into what decision you have made, the self confidence is going to go down. So first of all, trust your words, trust your decision, no matter how chaotic it looks at the first time. So honor your old identity. Second step, what I did was like bridge the define the bridge between the identity. Now, when I see at myself that what was the thing that I can carry with myself into the new house. So I was a person who can communicate well with people. I was a person who can understand complex psychological models, and I can explain them to people in a simpler manner or a more applicative manner. What I felt like, this is what is my understanding about myself. So I used to make a list of those. Okay, like I have to make sure that I am transitioning right now. Okay, I am learning about myself, I am expanding. Because when you are into your old identity, you have a very squared identity. You have a boundaries, you have I would say tightly guarded boundaries of me being an HR manager. I didn't have anything else which I can go in the world and sell it
Right.
and make it a monetized version of those skill sets. I was a person who was a patient listener at the beginning, and that also paid me off a very good way as a counselor. Because when I say listening, doesn't mean that you have to just take information from one ear and get it from outside. You have to be an active listener. You have to ask proper questions, reflective questions. You have to get involved. You have to show empathy. Okay, emotional empathy, emotional security has to be given. So I felt that those are the things that are already there inside me. So can I put it into my new house of a coach entrepreneur? So now that is where I was anchoring the future identity. What I was doing, I was taking something that was uncertain from my previous identity. I was taking and identifying those in the second step of bridging the identity of what was there that I can utilize in the new house. I take a laundry list of it and I just put it into the new house. Like, okay, now the bookshelf will go over here. Okay, the public speaking part can go over here as a coach. The listening part can go as a counselor. Okay, the storytelling part can go into both into coach and counseling. So now I can see that particular, chaotic, or I would say the void state. Somewhere it has started giving me a clarity, a bit of a clarity. That was a structure that I was talking about. Honor your old identity, define the breach identity, and second, anchoring what you have as a power into a future identity, placing that into that. So that's where, if I see a dip becomes a doorway rather than a wall. It becomes a doorway towards a new house rather than just being there, standing in the front of the wall. That is out of the fear, that is out of the anxiety. But if you start asking these questions to you, the clarity comes. So that's what I did. That's how NLP taught me about, okay, because we have to apply, and in our conversation we mention it in a humor that all the healers are the most traumatized and the most what I can say unlucky souls who have suffered a lot. Okay,
And that's
and
why you need confidence.
yeah, confidence, that's the main thing. And I think that and the self compassion actually saved me, to be very honest. This structure would only come to you after you are self compassionate about yourself. Because I'm not saying self pity, to be very honest. Let's not have a self pity masked as self compassion. No, self compassion is really a very, what I can say, it's like a conversation whom you are having with your 70 years old guy, the same version of yours, but 70 years old, and you have that. If you're in 40s, you always have your 20-year-old who is still living in the shell of 40, and the 40 also know what is the reality is. Only the mismatch is what is causing the identity dip. So if you start making those identity anchors with compassion, definitely this identity dip can be handled in a very constructive way. So I hope I have answered your question.
I liked few elements that I'm going to take back with me. Uh,
Uh-huh.
One is reinventing rather than upgrading, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So, like you rightly mentioned, it is like used interchangeably a lot of times. They like
Hmm.
want this, and now I'm a different person. However, like you said, I have also faced so many situations where people come and they say that this is very difficult and how do I come out of it, and or like I'm going to go to a new place like college, for example, and I'm like this over there as well. What will happen? But then, like you mentioned, that transition is the best time to reinvent. When you go to a new place, like you said, a new house, the whole residential area, they don't know who you are. You always have that opportunity to reinvent yourself, change the older version, bring in the best elements that you want, learn, grow, and reinvent. Be an individual who you always want to be, right? And I
True.
also feel, Abhijit, there is one pressing element here. A lot of people, they find it difficult to let go of what they have been holding on, and with that, they want to reinvent. So they want the old version. They're not okay with surrendering, letting that go, and then they want to be a, like for example, being a new parent, right? You want to be a parent, but you don't want to let go of your college days. What? How is it possible? Very
True.
simple as that.
True.
So
It's true. Mm.
yeah, so I think it is very important for one to know that every transition comes with a reinvention, like you rightly said. And with that, you need to also understand there's always trade-off. So
Mm.
without any trade-off, there is no change.
True.
Uh,
True.
Embracing that and getting comfortable with that,
Mm-hmm.
very basic step I feel towards change and understanding that dip will
Mm-hmm.
come with some change from your past,
Mm.
then you can rise again in future. What do you think?
See, that's rightly said, Arya. I think most of us have that particular clinginess towards our older identity because it has, as I told you earlier, the first question, your old identity has given you some security,
Yeah.
in past and in current phase, and that's why it is so hard. Because what happens when the transition happen, it is more of, it feels emotionally heavy first. Okay, then the actual, strategizing and, to-do list, to know we are into that particular entrepreneurial part. Okay, I have to do 5 posts on Instagram, I have to do this kind of an engagement, I have to go to this particular part, and task wise we know lot many things, but when it goes to go up and show up ourselves there, it becomes a very emotionally charged or heavier situation. Because as I told you, it gives you a identity. And identity, what happens whenever you're doing a transition, the entire identity is shuffled. And why identity is so important for you to feel, confidence is because
Vijit, I think your voice is not audible.
am I audible now? Okay. All right. So I was talking about what identity actually do with your psychology, what it actually hits, because of which we feel triggered or we feel emotionally heavy. So first of all, when identity shift is there, whenever you are in transition, you're actually, now I'm an HR manager in past, but now I am going to be a coach, an entrepreneur, I'm going to be a corporate trainer, I'm going to be a consultant. Now this is an identity shift. I don't have a structure to identify myself with that particular identity. So first thing that psychology hits me is the predictability drops. Your brain can't rely on old pattern anymore now. Okay, I can't have a schedule. I can't get up in the morning and I will say, okay, I have to reach to my office. Then there will be, 10 things on this day of this month. I have to do this 10 thing as an HR manager, and then I have to shift. Because mind love predictability. The confidence is shifted or it is shattered if you don't have predictability in your activity.
Yes.
And the identity depth or the transition itself is actually a lot of chaotic thing. There is no predictability over there. So you are going to feel that emotional heaviness. You
Yeah.
are going, and in that emotional heaviness, you are going to choose what was felt safe, which was your old identity,
Yeah.
right? Because our mind is like what your mind craves for is safety and stability. And what was safety and stability for me previously was my old identity.
Right.
So I will always think about, where are my friends right now? They are like, got a VP position into some MNC, but I'm still figuring out what kind of business or what kind of client niche I'm supposed to get into. So I would say, like, everybody who is facing this dip, okay, first of all, understand dissect what is happening. So if you are able to clearly see that this is what is happening, it will give you a kind of a perspective. You will
Mm.
rise above of whatever your problem is, and then you will see that it is the old identity that is talking to you
Right.
to come to safety. Okay, because there has been a lot many times. I think the fourth time that I was the fourth time that I did, I had a lot of back and forth, that I think that there is no, this month there is no sales. Okay, so now what is the use here? I have to pay so many of bills. It was so rosier and so good that I just have to go to office, and every month I supposed to get a paycheck. Okay, that is safety thing. But when you make this as a pattern, okay, when you don't identify yourself with a transition and you identify yourself with a challenge, the fear kicks in. Okay, the second thing what happens after predictability is lost is, second thing what happens is the control feels low. Our brain hates losing control more than it hates hard work. So if I don't have an agency about the situation that is in front of me, your brain will go, ape. It would like, oh my God, what? I would just shift to my reptilian thoughts. Okay, fear, anxiety. And let me tell you one thing, once you are into fear and anxiety, nothing creative comes in your plate. Because that's how our brain works. Because brain only have two switch: survival mode or thriving mode. So whenever you are serious, whenever you're in fear, it is into survival mode. And survival mode is a amygdala hijack. Everybody knows scientifically. Okay. So emotionally we are high. So if you are emotionally high, your prefrontal cortex shut down. So anything that you have read about, YouTube videos that you have watched, books that you have read, to any kind of insight that you have, they are not going to come to amygdala. They're not going to make their present felt. And then when you are like taking a shower or talking to your friend, and you're just not scrolling, but you're just with yourself, sometimes that idea hit her. It was so simple. I would have like contacted that guy who I know from my network, or I would have gone into that niche and I would worked in that particular part. I would have got that particular paycheck for that particular month. That actually is what is happening with you. So one is predictability gone. That is what first is what we have to talk about. Like, that's the old pattern that is talking to you. Control. So understand that the control that we are striving for more is the outer world. And that is a very bad area to set a control expectation in the outer world, because it's so dynamic. It is governed by so many elements, small elements, and you don't have any control on that.
Yeah.
Okay, because if I have a pet dog, I can't have any control on him. Okay, I at the most what I can do is I can feed him and I can take him for two walks. That
Yeah.
is in my control, right? But what he or she would do on that walk is totally on my dog.
True.
So what I was trying to tell you over here is, like, when you feel control is very low, make sure that what is controllable aspects, and most of the control aspect would be within you,
Mm.
like your mood, like your belief system, like your, that is called as automatic negative thoughts, ANTs. What kind of ANTs that you are, switching to? What is the old pattern that you're getting into? So realize that that is going to be I would say every entrepreneur, first of all, they would do the healing of
Mm.
their own mentality, and then they would become an entrepreneur.
Right.
Unhealed self towards becoming an entrepreneur, because entrepreneurs are like, are like what I would say, the most healed aura of yours, getting into that realm and trying to make that influence, because healed itself is an aura which you carry to the business.
Yes.
And if you're not doing that, if you are still into the predictability loop, if you're still into the control loop,
Right.
and if you are still into that identity role change is happening now, there is no identity, I am just falling into the void, that feeling is going to trigger your amygdala and you're not able to concentrate. That's why the emotional heaviness that you said, that
Right.
why you feel emotional heaviness is because of these three things are gone: predictability, control, and identity.
Wow.
So the first thing that I told you, the first question that you first of all have to do is like honor your older identity, define the bridge identity, and then anchor the future identity. These are the steps that you will do whenever you're feeling emotionally heavy. Ask those questions. What are things that I can do? Okay. And there are four more questions that you can have into your transition awareness, which will make your emotional heavy bearable, is by asking, what is the ending of me only thinking on this? Nothing is going to happen. Okay. And where I can begin? What is the ending? Okay. Nothing is going to be at the end. I will be having just a ruckus of thoughts and it is not going to go anywhere. Let's have a what was certain in me. Okay. What is certain in me? What is controllable in me? Me, my skills, myself, my, passion to learn, passion to help people. That is what is certain. And what is still intact in me? What is still intact in me? Because these feelings are your anchors. I mean, though I see this as an unclear path, I'm at least ready to take the one step. I'm not going to take the entire 100 test steps, but the first step. So that is one thing that one person can understand, or first thing that he or she can do, is to see what is controllable and what is intact in me. That would give you more resilience to get over the emotional heaviness that is there.
I think you have very beautifully explained this part, right?
Hmm.
Because everyone, like you said, everyone wants to be in control
Hmm. Hmm.
of the expecting someone else to be the way you want to be is not fair to anyone, right?
Right,
So
right.
having an assessment of understanding that what is in my control, very simple question.
Simple question.
What is in my control rather than taking dunya bhar ka tension, right?
No, you have a very limited RAM capacity of your brain, which can only think about you, and that is only 10% of your conscious power, I would say. So why you want to spend it on somebody else's activity and then go back? It is so unproductive. It's so unproductive.
And especially as entrepreneurs,
Hmm.
so when you spoke about entrepreneurs, right? Ki like they have to be healed and there's an aura that is carried into your uh, business.
Yeah, whichever value that you are bringing in, because that's how aura travels.
Right. And when you were saying about that, what came into my mind was an entrepreneur is a person with 10 hands, right? Because doing so many things at a time that you don't even have time to think about healing. So if you're not a healed person, you really do not have any capacity to work on all those 10 hands because you're doing everything at
True,
once,
true,
right? So
true.
just not thinking about things that are not in your control, just focusing on what you can do about it and just leaving it. जो होना है वो हो जाएगा बट मेरे से तो यही हो पा रहा है राइट जस्ट वेरी सिंपल इट्स अ वेरी सिंपल स्टेटमेंट.
Simple one, yeah.
And there are a lot of people who tend to overthink because of that कि oh my god, I mean if that person will do this then what, तब देखा जाएगा. Like you said, the predictable thing we.
Yeah, predictable thing, right? So it's a very simple thing, but what we we have that particular thing. We tend to sort emotions with emotions. We tend to solve a thought problem with a thought solution. Okay, that is where we actually make a bigger, what I can say. We give momentum to the entire chaos.
Right.
We're not solving. We're not settling it. The settling can will only happen by just shifting from amygdala to prefrontal cortex. And how it would happen is through questioning, because questioning is a very conscious activity.
Yes.
And amygdala, getting into emotion, is a very default activity.
True.
Anything that is unknown, anything that, like, let's take example of walking into nights when you are going into the same street but you don't have any lights over there, it feels very threatening.
Right.
Same thing if you walk in the morning, it is totally different scenario. It's the state of mind.
Yes.
Because our mind uncertainty is always took as a fear.
Hmm.
We take every uncertainty as a fear first. And that is a natural response. I'm not blaming anybody over here. I'm not saying that, okay, there is some fault with your mind that it is taking as a threat. Look at us as an entrepreneur. We are able to see it as an opportunity. I'm not saying that. We are, as an entrepreneur, we have just uh, made it as a habit. We have just made our, I think the perseveration, the perceiving muscle more stronger in terms of getting it more clearer. So that is the only difference between me as a entrepreneur who has been practicing this particular identity ladder when I'm talking about structures, when I'm talking about the three triangles of where the uncertainty, predictability, and control is what is lost. Then we are like all jumble up. These are something that I have stumbled upon. This is something that I have gone through, and then I've discovered, no, this is what I have to do. So does it mean that Abhijit is not able to get any challenges, or he doesn't get nervous, or don't have any anxiety? No, I have anxiety, but the rebound time is much quicker than the average person who don't know the techniques. That's the only difference. I won't say I won't have any. All of a sudden now I have a magic pill, and I don't have anxiety. I don't have self doubt. I don't have panic attacks. No, we have it. As an entrepreneur, you can also relate to me, Arya, that how much of self doubting we would be going into, right? So much of self doubting, self criticism, self sabotage that we do, and we are like, अरे then you तुमने तो सीखा था ना how to do it, just do that activity of
Just do
yourself.
that, right? The
Yeah.
self-awareness you have
Hmm.
for a period of time is I think that's the reason why you end up with that resilience time frame lesser as compared
Hmm.
to others, right? So when you have
True,
the
true.
like you said, the
Hmm.
framework is there, you know how to use it. At that time, काम आया था अभी भी
Uh,
है, right? So when you
true.
know, so that rebound time is so important because so many times there has been I'm not able to think about that word. What do we say that word when you break down? I'm thinking about burnout. So there have been so many cases where you have breakdowns, and when you break down, sometimes people break down, and that will go on as a chronic thing for 2 weeks. And then, like, but as an entrepreneur, so there was a very nice video I saw on Instagram. Okay, you are an entrepreneur, and that girl is like leaning onto the wall, and she's literally going down, crying, and then message, what about that order? And she's like, tuck, 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 she's typing the message. Then again, she's crying down. Then her junior says, okay, can you help me with this? So because you cannot afford to take up that much time to break down, right? You
True.
know the burnout, the time is very less. Just come up, rebound, be resilient, and just go on. Simple as that.
True. True. And with this time, as we are talking about time, I just give you an example of John Cena when we were talking about this little discussion, and there is a practice into Buddhism called as Maranasati. Okay, so Maran means death, Sati means consciousness. So, so if you are death conscious about like I can die anytime, all right, and I don't know when I can die and what would be the circumstances under which I can die. That particular consciousness makes you wonder that how much of time I don't know how much of time I have with me. I have to invest each and every ounce of that particular time that I'm going to either I'm going to spend in worrying, or either I would spend into building something that is more productive. Okay, because once you know, and Marana Smriti was one of the first practice which was given to a monk, whoever has come to become a monk or taking diksha, or renounce the world as such. So in Buddhism, they was to give this particular Maranasati dhyan. We would say call this as a dhyan. They were sent to crematories, they were sent to smashan bhumis, and they used to watch this body burn. They were sitting in front of chitas and they used to watch this body burn. They used to see that okay, Raja bhi aa raha hai, worker bhi aa raha hai, And the healthiest person is coming, the sickest person is coming, the beautiful person is coming, the ugliest person is coming. And they all of a sudden they that humility or humiliations comes into your part that I am nothing. But at the same time, if I'm nothing, and if I have an influence, the people say like I'm nothing, then I will do everything. I will do Netflix and chills on my Saturdays and Sundays. But when you are alive, when you are there in this particular system, you are actually influencing the system. So you have a very conscious responsibility of doing that. One is that you never know when you're going to go away, the time management. So make sure that the rebound period is more lesser than the lesser what you can do. At least reduce it by 10% every time that you go into depression or breakdown. Have that particular calculation. Okay, when पिछले बार I was like 3 days, I will do 2 days. Okay, kind of. So that gives you a kind of a consciousness that okay, I can die at any time. And every night, if you have this particular practice of going back and reflecting on these questions that I was asking, this gives you an idea. This gives you an perspective of not putting your consciousness into pity things that are in front of you. Because life is going to throw n number of agenda in front of you in form of Instagram, in form of your friend status, in form of your memory of your ex, in form of your worry of your future, or in form of the hiking petrol prices, everything that can come in your play. Okay, this is what pity things that the life can throw at you, but you have to really control the controllable. But how the conscious has to be built? The death consciousness,
That's conscious.
maran smati,
That's
memento mori.
very, very beautifully explained, right? So,
Hmm.
having said all of that,
Mhm.
one very common thing that people are scared of, because of which a lot of people don't become entrepreneurs, even if they want to start something of their own. That is, like grit is something that you need in entrepreneurship. And starting में तो people say कि हाँ, yeah, I have a lot of grit. Right? People talk about grit in entrepreneurship, but grit without inner alignment can definitely lead to burnout, right? And burnout is one of the most important reasons where based on, so some people, they even by thinking about burnout, they are like, no, 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 I don't want to start something of my own. Or sometimes people will be like, just it's just the beginning, it's just the cherry on the top, and they will be like, oh, if this is not the, if this is just the beginning, then what about the next few, like, years that I'll be struggling? And then they'll be like, they're so scared about burnout that, they just don't try, right? So what's the difference between healthy tenacity and unhealthy push through? And how can one, like, recognize they're crossing that line?
Hmm.
Because
Hmm.
this
Hmm.
will really help people to analyze the boundaries. And I really don't want people who want to be entrepreneurs, but just out of this fear, like you said, they just don't
Right.
do it. So can you please
Right.
that?
Surely, surely. I think this difference is very much important. I mean, this differentiation or contrast, if I say, or the clarity, it's a really important part because this is the biggest emotional trap every entrepreneur, fall into, and very few are able to, get up and start their journey again. And I think that has been my own experience as well because I have, on the surface, you would see healthy grit and unhealthy grit look identical. They look identical because understand, in a frame, let's say in a frame, if you're seeing a running deer, a deer is running, fast, एकदम जोर से भाग रहा है. Unless and until you don't zoom out and see it, like, is the deer running because of the cheetah is, following him? Or is he running towards a meadow where he is able to eat a very luscious grass? Well, now you got the difference. Like, why is running? Why he is running? Because of the fear or because of the going towards a pleasant, okay,
Right.
the calling that is there in you. But the running, that when you say the grit, it will seem the same. अरे भाग ही रहा है, बहुत भाग रहा है. he is doing that, he's putting that, but for what? So why? So healthy grit, whenever you feel healthy grit, it would seem hard because running is hard, but unhealthy grit would feel heavy. So if you're running and your muscle are aching, or तुम भाग रहे हो, but there is a joy, then that's a healthy. But if you're running, you're feeling the burnout, you're feeling all the things, but you're also feeling fear. That's an unhealthy grit. So that is a very important aspect everybody has to understand. So when we cross the lines, we have to just have to understand, like when we cross the line between healthy and unhealthy, क्या होएगा, how it looks like. So if your body is saying no, but your ego is saying yes, is it a healthy or an unhealthy grit? What would be that?
That's bad.
So body is saying no because now you know that is an unhealthy because the ego is saying yes, you have to go, you have to take that particular, look at your friends, look at people at 40s, look at the Forbes magazine, 30 people in 20 something millionaires, 30 into millionaires, and I am 40, I am still not a millionaire. So now it is a grit, but it is out of fear, out of scarcity, out of comparison, out of jealousy. And your body is the biggest, I would say, confidant in telling you that what is working out for you and what is not working out for you. Because it is so connected to your subconscious mind and it knows like where you're operating for. Are you operating from love or are you operating for fear? So if your body is saying no, but your ego is saying yes, unhealthy grid. Second example, small tasks start irritating you. Okay, looks small, but it start irritating you because I know that making that call, making a planner, drafting that email, even sitting down and thinking about which video I have to put in for next week. All
Dealing
right,
well.
dealing with people, answering this question like now, this is like 5 to 2% of your entire job that you do, the show. But even if you're feeling very irritated in that point of time, कि ये करने में मेरे को मजा नहीं आ रहा, I'm feeling irritated, but I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it. So now what you're doing, you still don't have the why. You're still doing it कि अरे the algorithm won't treat me healthily if I don't have 5 videos in this week. And I have seen a lot of entrepreneur, that नहीं नहीं मुझे 5 videos डालना चाहिए. Okay, because algorithm doesn't work in that way. But what I feel like right now, that shift that is happening in social media is not about how many followers that you have, how many followers that can get converted, and they are engagement. I would say, are they engaged with you? I might be having like 10,000 followers, but the engagement on in each post, engagement. I'm not saying like and emoticons exchange. No, are they asking questions? Are they looking for answers? Are they really getting engaged? Are you provoking them in a certain areas? And that would only happen if you have a very strong why in your activity. That's why I'm doing it. But I'm just doing it for the sake of doing it, it doesn't make any difference. But I don't want you to get into that particular realm as well, wherein you have to seek any perfect ही होना चाहिए. I'm not saying to be perfect. I'm saying do it with your own motivation. What do you feel over here? Otherwise, people बोलेंगे यार जब perfect हो जाएगा, then I will put it. No, no, not like that. What I'm saying that what you felt, anything that you felt that I want to share it. Like I think we both were talking about it, and I felt Arya, what was the topic of this particular talk that you're gonna have? And I was like, for a longer time, Arya, I have not spoken about this particular part, the dip that every entrepreneur is facing.
Right.
Okay, and that was the biggest concern that I had, and I thought like let's have this conversation first. Let's बाकी का तो आदि ही हो जाता है, that would come as a flow would go. So that is the main thing. Small tasks start irritating you. Third is you feel guilty when you rest.
Mm.
Now people will say, "What?" Because understand, you are self-sabotaging. You are not balancing your both part. Rest is important. When you see grit, I just have to be like, होता है ना, on Netflix, I have to complete this 10 episode.
Mm.
But at the cost of what? At
Sleep.
the cost of my
Yeah.
body, at my rest. So it is a very good statement that most of the entrepreneurs say, one of the entrepreneur that I was listening to, he say that when you say yes to something, you are saying no to something. So when I'm saying yes to Netflix, I'm saying no to my sleep. If I'm saying yes to overtime, I'm saying no to my family time. If I'm saying yes to not rebonding or looping into my negative thoughts, I'm saying no to my positive self. So you have to see what is the opposite side of the coin every time. All right. So this is where, because if your activities are not aligned, as you said rightly, that alignment
Mm.
make it all a difference. Okay. Well, grit without alignments leads to burnout. And you said it very right. Grit without alignment. If you don't know why I'm doing this, all our activities going to convert into burnout. And the thing that I have just enlisted, like your body says no, but
Mm.
your ego says yes, this is misalignment. Your small tasks start irritating you, this is a misalignment.
Yeah.
You feel guilty when you're resting, again, it's a misalignment. Because resting is required, because I know I have done valued thing.
Yeah.
I would rest definitely because I have to rebound, I have to come back, I have to replenish myself, and I have to come back. Or you are working to avoid discomfort, not creating value. That is also one thing.
True.
In order to not to fall back, only order to be an a person who is a content creator, I have to push certain content because now it has been a week I have not pushed it.
Right.
Then it creates a certain kind of a heaviness in your body that I have to push something. Come on, type something, put a photograph, something that. And I say I will do it when I feel motivated, or I will do it something that I feel out of my inspiration.
True.
And let me tell you one thing, there is also another, contradicting thing, like don't wait for motivation, get into system. Lot many people say that, okay, motivation is like, it's a very volatile thing. Okay, develop a system, because if you go with motivation, your mood would change as you go in a day. फिर उसके बाद में you will feel low, then you won't do it. I'm not saying of that. Your mood and inspiration are totally different thing.
Right.
Okay, your mood is out of the heaviness of fear, out of being manipulative about your or suppressing your feelings. That is what is the sign of you are getting burnout.
Yeah.
If you're inspired, if you're aligned, everything looks like a play. Like Krishna Bhagavan बोलते हैं सब मोह माया है. But
Right.
do it with the play, because you're gonna lose, you're gonna win. And don't only focus on wins, focus on losing as well.
Of course.
Right? Because I think if you go to Samandar Manthan, okay, and Samandar Manthan was a give and take. It was not only gain, gain, gain.
Yeah.
And that was the significance of it, because एक side से मंथन कैसे होता है? How मंथन happen? You have to leave it and you have to pull it. You have to leave it,
Yeah.
you have to pull it. And that's how manthan happened. So in your life also, sometime you have to give, some your time you have to take. So there is a balance. So
True.
you always have to see that is there is a balance.
Mm.
So when you see grit as a burnout, it means that you're going in linearity, and linearity doesn't have any end,
Right.
wherein life starts and end. So it is an innate nature of working into circles. Rest, okay? Hustle, rest, hustle, give, take, rest, come back. So that is how it works.
Yeah.
बट
So,
इन मोस्ट ऑफ द वेस्टर्न कल्चर टॉक अबाउट नहीं नहीं अभी 1 करोड़ हो गया, अगले महीने में 2 करोड़ होना चाहिए, दो
mm.
करोड़ हो गया 5 करोड़ होना चाहिए, 10 करोड़ होना, इट्स अ लीनियर वे.
Right.
सो डोंट मेजर ओनली वन थिंग.
I just had a this week was a very hectic week for me. Okay. And so I think the elements that you shared now about this question that I asked, it was so much aligned to what I just experienced. It was an extremely hectic week, no time for family, but I had to finish the work. It was time bound, right? So that's something just cannot give. But then it was healthy grit because I really was. It came from ownership, मुझे करना है, like going to have a big picture, and it's amazing. So every time you're thinking from that front, you really want to do it. So it's not a toxic grit. And I think what happens is when you are in that healthy grit, automatically because you're telling your mind and you're boosted with all the positivity, your body is also helping you go ahead.
True.
And if it is a sleepless night or lesser sleep, you are fresh, right? But
Hmm.
towards the weekend, when my mind understood that, it's ending now, it was like, now you need some sleep. You need to get some sleep. You need to start feeling sleepy to a point that I woke up late today.
Hmm.
Very so late that in last few years I've never woke up this late. However, generally whenever I wake up little later than usual, I get into this mode कि hey Bhagwan, why did I wake up late? Why didn't I listen to the alarm? But today, I really like woke up, but then I felt little more sleepy. Then it was more like and I'm telling myself. I forgot because I was asleep and like you just come into that transition mode. Oh, you're awake, and I'm telling myself, Arya, it was a hectic week.
Hmm.
All,
Hmm.
tiredness, which is why you were getting all this sleep now, and embrace it. Go to sleep. And I slept, right? So sometimes there's also this thing that healthy grit, your body helps you because you know that this is something you are doing for a big picture, something really, something you're really passionate about. Your body
Hmm.
is generally like
Hmm.
it
Hmm.
hold throughout the journey.
Hmm.
However, that doesn't mean that you just get going. Like you said, 1 crore business ho gaya, to 2 crore, you do need that gap. You
Right. Right.
need to recharge yourself, and
True.
body will say you need to recharge now.
Right.
Battery low
Right.
ho raha hai.
Yeah, but as you said rightly, I know a lot many entrepreneur or people who are starting with a very high level of enthusiasm when they are getting into this business because there is one principle whenever you're going to into a gym, okay? So it is always said that if you are capable of doing 6 sets of, let's say, biceps or triceps or whatever, muscle group you want to select, always do 2 set less.
Hmm.
Always utilize 80% of your energy into gyms because your body and your mind are so designed, or even हम बोलते हैं ना, in Japan they always eat 80%
Yeah.
of their maximum capacity. Why we have to do that? Because your brain has a very different way of operating and your body has a very different way of operating. Your brain is only activated when your body is a bit hungrier, not totally full.
Right.
Okay, so when you talk about some kind of discomfort, when I will push my body limit in certain areas, and I know that it is time sensitive thing,
Yeah.
and I can rest after some time with the assurance that I would recover after some time, not with the assurance कि यार ये body इतना कर रहा है कि let's push like 110% now. That is not what I'm trying to tell. That is what is an
Right.
unhealthy grit. If
Right.
you know that today I will do 120, tomorrow I will rest at least 4 hours more than what it is required. So
Yes.
it's all about balancing out.
Absolutely.
So that's what I was saying, that once you pull in, how much you are going to pull in, that much also you have to let go.
Right.
Because today on Sunday, you have like invested 4 hours in your sleep, right?
True.
Why you invested? Because yesterday I had like 4 hours more invested into my work where my body was little bit stretched. So that consciousness, I'm talking about that consciousness.
Consciousness.
Okay, that consciousness is operating from the why, not from the fear. फियर से कैसे होएगा कि यार उसने अरे नहीं फिर अगले मेरे को दिन में मेरे को ज्यादा करना है. That is was the fear. So now you will know, and always make sure that if you want to be in that particular realm, if you're not doing a mathematician or you're not becoming a mathematician at the end of every task, that's a healthy grit.
Yeah.
वो खाना खाता है ना, हम खाना खाते तो माय मदर इज से कह रहे रोटियां मत गिन कितना खा रहे हैं.
Ah.
Just take it as much as you. If you think like it's enjoying, I'm enjoying it, I want to eat
Yes.
it. रोटियां नहीं गिनना चाहिए खाते हो because it's a bhog.
Right.
You're doing a bhog, and if you're doing any work, that is also karma. So
Hmm.
if you're doing karma out of selflessness and you are felting selflessness because I was doing this for my audience, I'm doing this for my client, I'm doing out of my purpose. So even the first picture frame that I talked about, that is a deer running and he is running fast.
Right.
He is running to a meadow to eat that luscious grass.
Yeah.
And he knows after running this, I will replenish it. So
Yes.
after doing so much of work, my soul is going to get replenished.
Right.
My purpose is going to get replenished. Let me be at 120. Doesn't make any difference. Okay. So that is the thin line between a healthy grit and a non-healthy grit. The
Yes.
purpose-driven activity. And to be conscious when you're doing it.
Yeah. I think this has been a wonderful conversation. Of course, there's a lot of more potential to have a discussion with, but then we are right at 60 minutes.
Right. So
If,
I was saying that we would have a part two of it if at all
yeah,
if that is there in your agenda.
right, because we have
Hmm.
just touched the surface. Uh,
Right.
and this is itself is a series of conversation that can
True. True.
on, and it cannot be like the justice cannot be done in one session.
True.
Having said that, such beautiful topics have been discussed about healthy grit, unhealthy grit, how it is important to um, reinvent yourself every 10 years rather than considering every learning as just an upgrade, and growing in the right direction, right? With all the dedication and determination you need, and being much more time bound conscious when it comes to resilience, because as entrepreneurs or as any individual, you need to understand that you just cannot just go on, right? You need to
True.
assess yourself and move in the right direction. And I'm so grateful that we had this conversation. We took up this topic to focus on the dip that everyone faces, especially in transitions in life. And I'm really grateful, Abhijit, that you came for this conversation and it was so fruitful. We had a lot of people coming in and watching and going, but then this recording will be there on both of our accounts live. So for those who are just joining or who missed the conversation, I would highly recommend you can go back, watch this video, and we can see, if you have any questions, you can put it in the comment section and you can take it from there. You have Abhijit's account that will be collaborated with mine on the video, and you can ask either of us any questions in case you have any doubts. Having said that, I think connectivity of Abhijit is gone. But then, anyways, we were towards the end of the conversation, and whenever Abhijit watches this video, I would like to be thankful that he came for this Insta Live. I'm grateful for all the audience who came here, and we will definitely have a part two, like Abhijit said, and looking forward to see you all also on that live. Thank you so much. Thank you for being amazing audience. Take care. Bye bye.